Ah, oof, phew! I'm just in time for the stupid review. I just went to the cemetery, you know? I had to bury my co-host. He fucking died because he had no kidneys, I guess? Because he sold them all? Because he's fucking stupid?
Yes.
What?
I'm a ghost. I'm back.
Who's that? Who is talking right now?
It's me, a fucking ghost.
What?
Yes.
Alright, so, I guess we're reviewing KSP now.
Yes.
Which is Kerbal Spacegram in long words.
In layman's terms.
And so, because you didn't even bother to play the game, actually, you fucking prick.
Yeah, I didn't replay the game before making this review, so I'm making everything up.
You lazy asshole. So you have 161 hours on the KSP. So I have a little more than that, only a tiny bit more.
Like, 2,000 fucking hours.
It's 2,382 at the moment.
By the time this review goes up, it'll be like 4,000.
Right, so the game obviously, well, it's about a space program, so you have to make like your own space program, I guess.
Make your own space program. It's pretty cool. It's pretty realistic.
It's a pretty realistic game. It also fixes a lot of misunderstandings about space.
Yeah.
And orbiting the planet and how you do that, because
and how a spaceship actually flies around.
Yes, because most movies, most people portray this like you just take a rocket and you fly way up.
And you're thrusting the entire time.
Yeah, you're thrusting the entire time until you are out of the atmosphere, I guess. And then the moment you're out of the atmosphere, you're floating and you're in 0G, they say. But like the reality is you have to reach 28,000 kilometers per hour to stay in space, actually, because that's a real trick. It's not even going to space, it's staying in space is the real hard part. And that's really well simulated in KSP. Because I remember the first time I thought, hey, I want to go to space. I just took a giant ass rocket and just launched it up into the sky. And it just
exploded?
It fell back on the ground. And I didn't understand it because it went up to like 200 kilometers. And it went back and it crashed on the ground. And I couldn't understand. I couldn't wrap my mind around it, how that happened. And how I would be able to stay in space.
And then you called in the help from your dear old friend, Scott Manley.
Yeah, Scott Manley is like the father of KSP, I guess. So thank you, Scott, for saving my entire life, you know? So because the physics are quite realistic, there were still some bugs and stuff. The difficulty, or like, how it's called? The
difficulty curve?
Yeah, the difficulty curve is really steep.
Well, the initial difficulty is very high because you're thrown into this game and you get all these fucking parts thrown at your head and all this physics stuff. You have no clue what the fuck you have to do.
Yeah.
And you have to figure all of that shit out. And if you have to figure it out all by yourself, it's fucking difficult. But if you can watch like some videos or have someone else to help you, it's slightly easier. But even like using the orbit map and all that stuff initially is very difficult. But once you get the hang of it, it's fucking fun.
Yeah, it's fucking fun. There's a lot to do. But so you have these three modes: sandbox mode, science mode, and career mode. Mm-hmm. In sandbox mode, it's just the sandbox mode, so you can do whatever you want with all the stuff you have.
Yeah, you have all the parts unlocked immediately.
Yeah,
you have everything. There's no cost to build rockets. And in science mode, you don't have all the parts initially, but you unlock the parts gradually over the game by collecting science, by doing experiments in space, on the ground, on surfaces. I think it's the best mode to start the game off with.
To explore the game.
Yeah, because you start with like a very small amount of parts, you get to know those parts, and then you unlock a couple more parts, and then you can learn how to use those parts.
You get to know how to use the parts correctly in each situation. And it's a good way of exploring the game, I think, but a lot of people decide to just go with the sandbox mode and they never really get to learn the game because...
I don't like the sandbox mode. You have no goal in sandbox
No, there's no goal in sandbox mode, and that's a bit... Well, it's just the sandbox mode, so I think it's fine. They added science mode, but like...
Stop confusing everyone!
Nah, I'm confusing myself! No, so the now career mode is you have to manage your financial situation.
Yeah, you have to take on missions. I've never tried it actually. You play it all the time, but I've never tried it because I've never even finished the science mode yet.
But you do know what happens when you mix acids and bases, right?
Of course I do.
So yeah, how many planets are there in the game?
You have Moho. It's like the Mercury version of KSP.
Yep.
You have Eve, which is Venus. There is Kerbal, which is Earth, obviously. I'm not counting moons, by the way.
As NASA would say, natural satellites.
Shut the fuck up! Duna. There's Duna, which is Mars. Then there's Draz, which is actually a dwarf planet.
What the fuck? Never
Yes,
heard
and
of that one.
what's it called?
Ilu?
No.
Emu?
No. No, you fool, no.
What?
Then there's Jewel, of course, the giant green,
The gas giant.
the gas giant, which is Jupiter. So the last planet is also a dwarf planet. It's Ilu, which is Pluto. They're never going to add another planet. Yeah, I visited the plant features site and
What have they planned?
there's no sign of any new planets, which is a damn shame.
While you have much more hours than I have, I was actually the first one of the both of us to land on the moon. I landed on the moon!
No, I think you were the first to...
Oh, to land the Kerbal on the moon and go back.
I think you were the first to land the Kerbal and go back.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I landed something first, but I think you were the first to go back. And then I was so jealous that I started the mission to go to Minmus. And so I was the first to go to Minmus and back, but it's actually way easier to go to Minmus and back than go to Moon and back.
Yeah,
because you need less delta V. And
Yeah, it's further away, but it's easier.
yeah, and the gravity is way lower. That was kind of cool. It was a cool period when you played the game and I played the game.
But we couldn't play it together. There was like a mod to play together, but it was kind of a shitty mod.
And that's kind of the problem with KSP. I really would love to play it multiplayer, so building an ISS, an International Space Station with my friends. I really want to do that instead of, well, playing this game alone the entire time. You know, like another thing you were talking about is the science. You can do science experiments,
Yeah,
and
that's
then you
fun.
unlock science and stuff. But the science experiments aren't really realistic. Like, we just send a probe up into space and then just measure the temperature the entire time, and then that unlocks enough science to build a bigger fuel tank. It makes no sense. You know, the new updates they did since Take-Two or whatever took it.
They took over everything, even
Yeah.
my brain. Oh, aliens stole my brain.
Your ghost brain. No, but they added a workshop, which everybody would have loved, I think. But what they actually did was just people would upload their aircraft and their spacecraft onto some kind of platform online, and you could just download it. It's a tiny file. But now, like, they added this feature into the workshop of Steam. But it's completely useless, but it was already possible to do on another platform. But, you know, whatever, it's nice. But
Wait, that's the only thing you can download on the workshop is just spacecraft.
you can do that. You can download spacecraft, and also newest DLC they added. What's it called? Making crap. I mean, making history.
Flying into the moon at a
Yes.
very high velocity until you explode.
Well, in making history, you can make your own missions, but it's a kind of shitty editor. You can't really. You don't have a lot of options. You can't do a lot. So you can download the missions, but who cares about the missions? You just want to play the game and start your own space program. You don't want to play with some other random space
Yeah,
program.
because you can't even play the missions in the career mode,
No.
right? It's like a separate game mode.
It's a
There's
completely separate game mode. What everybody expected of the workshop was that there were mods on the workshop and you could just subscribe on them, just like in Gmod or in City Skylines. It's really nice. It's a really powerful tool, but they didn't add it in KSP, and they're never going to, because they fucking hate the community now, because Take-Two has the game now. What's really sad is the missions that came with the DLC pack. So the missions that were made by KSP, they were really fucking terrible. They were made like it's like they don't even understand orbital mechanics, even though they made the game.
So now all you're using from the DLC are just the extra parts?
Yeah, the extra parts, which are pretty cool. But what's really a shame about the new parts is that they're a bit unbalanced. Well, they're just variants on certain parts that were already in the game, but they're better, and you unlock them in the same tech node you unlock the original parts. So it's pretty useless to ever use them because they're less efficient. The tech tree is really bad. It makes no sense.
What has always bothered me about the tech tree is that you unlock like satellites and probes and stuff later on in the tech tree. Normally, that's the first thing they would send to space, is like a probe into space. But
Yeah.
for some reason, KSP forces you to send like a Kerbal into space first, but if this is like your first game you're ever gonna play,
He's gonna die.
he's gonna die. So it doesn't make any sense.
I
You're gonna
guess-
kill so many fucking Kerbals, and then once you get the hang of it, then you're gonna send probes. No, that's stupid.
It's the other way around! I think the main problem with KSP at this moment is the tech tree. It's the main thing that I hate about the game. And I always download the mod to use another tech tree. So tell me, are you ever going to play KSP after this review goes up?
Yeah. I might even play it right now.
What?
I'm not, but I might.
Okay, so I guess you recommend the game then?
Yeah, I recommend the game. It's fun. But I get sick of everything, so...
Because you're some kind of autistic child?
No, because I'm some cynical asshole. No, I like the game. I like going to the moon and stuff. Going to both moons. Or natural satellites, as some intellectuals
Some
find.
experts would say.
Yeah, it's a fun fucking game.
I can agree, and like these milestones you reach, I remember the first time I sent a Kerbal back from Duna. It's something great to experience, and it just makes you love the game even more. And so that just kept me going. And well, yeah, so I would certainly recommend the game, but like the DLC pack,
Don't buy the DLC pack.
no, it's pretty stupid.
Alright, how do we end it?
I could like say, maybe I will see you back on the moon.
But probably not though. 'Cause-
Alright, so maybe I will see you back on a natural satellite.
Yes! On a natural satellite.
And on that natural satellite, we will leave you with a natural satellite.